Hey guys, welcome to this new video. Today we are flying to Bangkok to interview Johan Fall, who is the founder of GetLinks, one of the main players in hiring tech talents in Asia. Johan is also a Forbes 30 under 30, which means that every year they are selecting the 30 most successful entrepreneur under 30 years old, and he's been in this media. We're going to share about his expatriation journey as well as his entrepreneurship journey doing business in Asia. Let's get started. Thank you, Johan, for accepting my invitation to share about your entrepreneurship journey and your relocation to Asia. You have a pretty inspiring story, so I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to share what you've learned, what you've been learning, all the things that popping up in your life, and to inspire the millennials community that wanna maybe follow a little bit your path. So thanks again. Can you maybe start by introducing yourself, what you've been doing on over the last 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, hi everybody. Nice to meet you, Guillaume. Thanks for having me here. So I'm John Fall. I'm French, and yes, I've been in Asia for the past 8 years now, actually. I'm known as one of the founder of the largest technology hiring marketplace in Asia, called GetLinks, and funded by the first Southeast Asia and Thai startup to be funded by Alibaba. I've got that when I was 24, so it was quite early. So people know me for that. But I also participate in several other companies. In my portfolio, I'm interested into education, I'm interested into gaming, and lately I'm much more interested into sustainability technology. And hence, I'm putting together a fund called Atlas Society. But we get to talk about that. So yeah, that's about me.
So Johan, you founded GetLinks, which is one of the main players in Southeast Asia to hire workforce here. What have you seen is the employment and the workforce here changing over the last years?
What I've seen when I arrived here to work for Lazada was the very beginning of e-commerce in Southeast Asia. I was working in the regional marketing team, so I was really into Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube. Actually, YouTube didn't exist at that time like as much as today, but it was interesting to see the penetration of the internet was really connected with the penetration and the acquisition of users of Lazada, because people were literally discovering internet with Facebook and Lazada at that time. A lot of usages were not there yet. So it was just, you can Google something, or you can talk with your friends, or you can buy on Lazada. That's it. And I think what I can see is the past 10 years, the penetration and the adoption of more and more digital services in the region have been completely reshaping the landscape of employment. As everybody can imagine, in Southeast Asia, nobody was really working in tech or in IT 10 years ago. And now, I think digital products are driving 60% of Southeast Asia GDP. 60%, right? You can look at the Google and Temasek report with a lot more detailed number, but basically, yeah, I think we've seen that in several layers. But the most important one in terms of the region has been the big gap that have been created between the people in the traditional economy, such as tourism industry and blue collars, and the new employed people in the digital economy. And I think over Southeast Asia, we see a gap of maybe 7 times for some countries. So the people working in technology are paid 7 times higher than the average person in Thailand, for example. And that's massive. So to me, I didn't know all that when I arrived here, but I kind of smelt it a little bit because I had the chance to see it in the US and in Europe a little bit. And that's where I've built my businesses around that trend.
It's interesting to know there is such a huge gap between the salary that people can get if they work for all traditional businesses versus IT and tech sectors. Um, what about the quality we can get for people we hire in Southeast Asia compared to people that we could hire overseas?
Absolutely, if you compare to a US full stack developer who is earning 120,000 US dollar a year minimum, right? But if you compare that to, let's say, a Pakistanis, or if you compare Vietnamese and a Thai developer, it's really a different game. Overall, what I can say is Southeast Asia have 600 million people, and most of these people are below 25 years old, right? So this is the youngest pool of the workforce for the next 10 years ahead. So no matter how the economic forces will evolve in other regions, you have a guarantee that Southeast Asia workforce will be there for the next 10 years, and that they are very hungry, and that they are discovering capitalism and consumerism, and hence they will be early adopters of any digital products that are coming in at cheaper cost. So I think that's something that is sure. I think now heads up is cheap, is not always the solution, partially when you have language barriers or time zone differences, right? So I think for businesses in Europe or in the US, they need to ensure that they manage the risk of these time zones and language barriers very well to be able to leverage on the affordable workforce in Southeast Asia.
It's interesting to know that Vietnam and other countries in Southeast Asia are very competitive to hire workforce. Another component business owner would consider as well is, for instance, what about the mindset or the expectation those people have here in Asia?
I can't talk for everybody here, but I can share just my experience, right? And when you say Asia, it's so many different countries, right? So I think I can share you my experience in Hong Kong, in which I lived for 2 years, and in Bangkok, which I've been living also for more than 2 years. Those are two different pictures of Asia, because Asia is so different, and I think you really have to understand there is North Asia and South Asia. North Asia is really developed. They think money, and they think time, and they think a lot of things very similarly to Japan, to South Korea, to Shanghai, and to maybe New York, Paris, London. And Southeast Asia, also outside of Singapore, have a mindset that is maybe a little bit more like Spain or Italy, or some parts of the US, right? So I think we need to separate that. But one thing that I've seen that is constant across North and South Asia is the notion of family. I think the notion of family and group is extremely important in the society, and I don't know if it's something that we've lost in Europe or in the US. I think in the US they have lost that for sure, unless you're Mormon, maybe. But I think in Asia it's here, and it's here to stay, and it's really redefined how Europeans and Americans can do business here, because whatever interaction they will have, they will need to understand that here is family and the group first. They have separate words. In Chinese it's guangxi, in Thai it's the society. It's different on that sense, that the group is very important, and they will not work with you if you are not somehow introduced by the group, and if you do anything that will make them lose face in front of the group, it's basically game over for you, and you can, wrap up your bag and take your plane back. So I think that's the important notion to understand as a fundamental here.
Yes, losing face is a big topic in Asia. It's not necessary in Vietnam or in Thailand. It's across all Asia. I personally experience it. That's why I invite any expat or people who want to come here to work to know about what is going on this topic. Another component that is important, and I wanted to get your insight, it was what have you seen about the last 5 years about tech in Asia, especially all the application coming and disrupting different markets. What's your insight about this?
So how has this evolved, right? I mean, my first business was specifically events. When I started GetLinks, I started an event company. Basically, we organized tech conferences in Bangkok, in Ho Chi Minh City, and in Singapore, and we got the chance to have 4,000 to 5,000 people attending those events. And that was really nobody knew about startup and tech, so we were driving this discovery, right? And then once people and companies realized, oh, no, it's the tech era, the startup era with Uber and Grab, then they started to look at, doing the same. So more startup raised money and more corporate company developed their e-commerce. So they started to hire engineers, and that's how I've been making money. And then that business evolved where it was not just engineers anymore. All right, it started to be, no, we have a website and we have an engineer who built it. How do we make this app having traffic, right? So it started to have digital marketing, and then, step by step, everything evolved to be covering now even customer service, right? Because Agoda and other companies, it's not just an app, right? It's also marketing to drive users, but it's also customer service. So, and now it's even delivery, right? So, my world of tech have evolved last 5 years from one guy, one engineer, to the engineer, the digital marketer, the customer service, the food delivery guy, and even whoever the hell wants to make money in here needs to download this app now. Because if you want to make money and you're blue collar, then taxi is probably a good option through Grab, for example, right? So the scene have evolved from there's no tech here to every transaction are done through tech. When I came here to get money from your bank and to claim your credit card or to transfer money, you need to go to the bank. And in France as well, you actually in France you still need to go to the bank, whereas today it's been actually 4 years. It's like this, maybe 5 years now. In Asia, you transfer, get cash, everything from your mobile phone, and that's something that still in Europe is not the case, right? So I think these have drastically changed towards the adoption of digital products across the board, not only for e-commerce, but for really a lot of digital lifestyle services. And I think now it's a technological advance in terms of consumption that we can see compared to Europe, where things are kind of same for the past 10 years on that matter. No, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? We can discuss it. But yeah, the world here have changed, and I'm talking even before COVID, right? After COVID, we just jumped 20 years ahead, right? I haven't left my house during the lockdown for 2 months, and I could receive the best food, the best everything. I got massage coming to my place. I got my trainer coming to my place for Muay Thai. My girlfriend ordered the hair salon to come and do the nails for her at home. These are things that happened now that will never exist without COVID, right? So yeah, I think the scene have really changed, and this is to the win of technology industry in general, and hence a lot of my friends have made a lot of money. I've made some money too, and that's why now I'm interested to do more with that money and starting new companies and supporting new entrepreneurs as well.
And actually, I got some insight from some friends working in a startup community in Vietnam that some venture capital who were before focused on, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, are now start to give more and more, putting more and more interest and putting more and more focus on the Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam. What's your insight about this?
So it depends of the audience, right? But if you're local, I mean, just Google it. There's so many VC funds. You can go to Tech in Asia or E27, or you can go to, Crunchbase, and you will find all the VCs and big investors that are active in the region in technology. So that's simple. Now, if you're an expat, it's a bit of a different story, because you can't do business here without having local co-founders, and that's a mistake so many expats are doing. They think they can stay in that region for more than 3 years without having to give a good part of their business to locals. And yes, they come here, they make money, but then they don't stay because it's not they're being kicked out, but kind of they are, right? Because after a while, if you don't click really with the locals, you will have a really big handicap, and you won't have much friends because your expat friends, they're also not rooted enough to stay here for long. So after maybe 3 years, most of your expat friends are gone, and you're alone. So I've seen that many times. And it's for business expats. I'm not talking about expats who are here for tourism and retirement, but for businesses, expats and young professionals, it's something that they have to manage. The reason why I have the chance to be in Asia for the past 8 years is because I have got the chance to meet co-founders, and I've given my business, half of my business almost, to my co-founders. Who were Asian, right? And I think that's really what makes the difference with people who have the chance to really build something here and those who don't. No, I'm personally thinking to leave at some point. I'm not planning to stay here forever. I'm not sure if I will go to New Zealand or if I will try to live in Canada to make kids. I don't know. But the point is, at least it's my own choice, right? And I hope, touching wood here, that my businesses will do well. So I will be able to have that choice of where to live. So I think, that's the very important advice for every expat who want to start business here. Really give first and give a lot to the locals, because you are in their territory. And even though they will make you feel very comfortable, you need to help. You need to be helping them, so that they will maybe help you. I think that's very important.
You have always have this dilemma of, should I find a partner or should I try to launch the business by my own? And in Asia, it's most recommended to try to find, or at least to try to get involved with some local people. First, they will give you their own experience and being able to tell you if you're right, or maybe help to show you the problem from another angle. And just because we are not Asian, right? So we would have one day probably to rely on some local partners.
So the reason why I said that during the present question is, to be brutally honest here, you won't raise money unless you have local co-founders, and you won't raise money as an expat here, period. So your business have to be so local that you can actually catch the local VC money. Otherwise, you just won't have access to it. And that's no, brutally honest, but that's what I meant. So it makes the task really hard for foreigners to raise money. And for me, the reason why I got the chance to raise money from Alibaba and others at 24 years old is just because I was too weird. They just didn't know in which box to put me, so they just gave me a shot, right? I was black, I was speaking French and English. Like, what the hell am I doing in Asia, right? And I was 22 when I arrived, right? So I was just an alien, right? So they just didn't know how to react, and they gave me a chance, right? But I don't think it's that easy anymore. I think I got very lucky, and I think it's not gonna be happening anytime soon. On top of that, now with the pandemic, so yeah, I think it have changed, and it's even more required to work with local partners. Know that again, 60% of the GDP here is coming from tech. All the locals are all over tech, so if you come with your ideas, I don't think it's worth it. I think it's really much, as an expat, you can come in and try to see where you can fit in an existing local business. I think that's where I see the new successful people being rooted here in the technology scene. I'll give you an example. One guy, an American, is a data scientist, and he wasn't a data scientist in the US, but he was just maybe a data analyst or something. But he came here and got the chance to work with one of the greatest fashion e-commerce company here as a data scientist, and then he got promoted to be the head of data science, and now he got a chance to have a job in the top 10 biggest market cap here in Thailand, right? As a head of data science / I think he's probably a chief digital officer now. So you can see the career path. He didn't come here and, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm gonna be a millionaire through building e-commerce. This is long gone. This is long gone.
Yeah, it's true actually. I mean, opening a business, being a self-employed, or just trying to run a company and succeed is not for everyone. You need to have some skill that some people cannot get. And obviously in Asia, in this region, there is still a lot of opportunities. So if you are talented, if you are experienced overseas, I guess you can still find your own path in Asia. To talk a little bit about those people, like expatriate or people wishing to find a job in Asia, what would be your key insight? What you would tell them to get started?
There's a big door in Asia. It's a massive door. It costs you $500, right? It's you can come from that big door for $500, knowing nobody. Just coming here and going to the island, meeting a local girlfriend. Do some elephant tour. That's the big door. But that big door is as easy as open to close, because it's just $500, right? You pay the plane ticket, you come in, you enjoy your local Vietnamese girlfriend, and soon enough, you're gone back to Europe or to the US. I've seen thousands of these people, and I almost been one of them. Now, the other pattern I can see for the people who stay is they come here for work. They come here for work. They come here with a plane ticket sponsored by the company, and if they don't have a job, they come here, create an online business that is making money from Europe or for the US, and they are making tons of money from this, so much that they just choose the location just like they could choose Italy or whatever, right? And I see those people are very successful too. Maybe it's your case. But they are not really having the elephant tour, local Vietnamese girlfriend thing, at least for the first 2 years. Because that's a small door. That's a very hard door to take. And it's coming really from that small door. And I think the people who come from that small door are the ones that successfully root here. And that's not the big easy door of $500, right? It's a lot of sacrifices. It's really be laser focused on your business. It's sacrificing going to the beach or going to, see the elephants for a long time. Like, I've been here for 8 years. I spent, I think 6 years to the office. I never had the chance to really go take some holiday, right? And when I had the chance to take holiday, I had my laptop and I still were on the call, with my AirPods, and, my friends were getting pissed off. So I think that's why I'm still here. And I think for any expats and digital nomads out there, because it's such a fancy, cool way to be digital materialist nomads, right, nowadays, they need to be careful to come here for the right reason and to not be slightly slipping into the big door, because the big door send you back as quickly as you came, right? So I think that's very important, right? It's really having the discipline of managing why you're here for other purposes than just lifestyle. And if you do that, you will have everything open to you. I've seen many of my friends, they got the chance to have a very strong business from Europe and making 10,000-20,000 US dollar a month. And once you get there, then you start to be connected with the local businesses. They ask you to do some consulting for them or stuff like that. Then you start to have local clients, and then you can spend time with your local girlfriend and whatsoever. So I think it's just a bit of time that it takes at the beginning to be really professionally rooted, and then you can enjoy the lifestyle. However, as I mentioned, most of people take it on the other way, right? They come with the lifestyle first, and then they think, oh shit, I don't have enough money. What should I do now? And they should apply for a job, and obviously nobody wants to hire them, right? So I think it's a big risk, and this is a big solution as well that I'm sharing.
Thanks again, Joan, for your insights about life in Asia, the easy trap we can find, as well as more your experience journey in being an entrepreneur. What are you working on right now? I see the logo Atlas Society. Can you share a little bit more about the exciting things you are planning for the next month or already now?
Sure. With my first business, GetLinks, that I created as a CEO, I got the chance to scale it to 100 people, and one of my co-founders stepped up recently. Actually, it's been already 1.5 years, 2 years now, even as a new CEO. And so I'm still helping that business, every day to, get to be bigger. Recently, we got the chance to triple our sales with COVID. You can imagine everyone is recruiting tech talents. So GetLinks have been doing well. And we have got the chance to invest in other companies and acquire 2 companies as well. So I've been facilitating that. But I'm also looking at how can I multiply my impact, right? And I know that if I start another company, I'm probably going to be in there for the next 6 years or 10 years, right? Just like my first company. So I'm thinking I have only 3 shots, right? 3 times 10 years maximum, right? And then I'm too old. So one of the things I've been exploring for the past year is how can I actually help other businesses to also get to the stage of GetLinks, right? So how can I help other businesses to reach 100 people, to make multi-million dollar, and to be here for a sustainable time. In the other way, I've been thinking of how the world is changing, and I've been facilitating a lot of e-commerce companies, teams to make more money. E-commerce is one of the biggest polluter of the world. If you look at how much plastic Amazon and Lazada are trashing just to receive your little package, with the food delivery, it's even uglier. So I've been thinking a lot about how can I pay back my carbon my carbon balance with the past 5 years of helping e-commerce company. How can I neutralize that, right? So now I decided to focus and really be laser focused on helping companies doing great for the climate, the planet, and the society. and hopefully that will offset my carbon footprint, helping Lazada so much for the past 5 years. And yeah, that's what I'm focusing on, gathering people, entrepreneurs, and investors in that sphere of saving our environment and social problems. So it's called Atlas Society. It's a society where anyone can apply, and then based on their profile, they'll be selected as an entrepreneur or an investor or just a contributor. But we're also looking to put together a VC fund next coming years. And so we started with an angel syndicate now, which we have already 80 angel investors who are dedicated to invest in sustainability tech. So yeah, that's about Atlas.
Very interesting story and this new inspiring project you are working on. And I'm pretty sure with your passion, the energy, and what you can bring to that community and to the sustainability of the companies you're going to work for, I'm pretty sure it's going to bring some good impacts for the future. Thanks again, Joan, for your time, and I'm happy that you could share this to my audience. You can check actually in the description. I will leave the link of this new project of Joan and maybe your LinkedIn so people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, awesome to meet you, and thanks for having me. And yeah, any help needed, feel free to reach out to me on my LinkedIn.
Yeah, thanks again, Joan. Happy that I could share it, and I see you in the next video.
And I'ma get it right, then I'll fight like